everybody, it's Katie and Mike. Say hi, Mike.
I say hi, but I'm looking away.
Because you were trying to get us out of the parking spot?
Yes, I wanted to make sure that car didn't back up.
Oh, well, good for you. You
No,
got
I was
us.
keeping my eye on it.
Yeah. So happy Halloween time again. We are back for another spooky movie. It's like after it's 1 o'clock in the morning, so you'll forgive me.
Well, you were just on Central Time, so it's really more like midnight for you.
It's still late.
It is late.
Also, I was only there for like a week, so I don't think I told my manager this week. I'm like, I think I'm still on Eastern time in my brain, which is why like I felt so discombobulated. But anyway, happy Halloween, everyone! Again, last time we watched Crimson Peak, and this time we've seen a totally different kind of spooky movie. It's Cooties, which came out this year and is out on like what, Amazon?
Yeah, it's an Amazon Instant Video. It's also on like
I'm sure it's
Apple
on like
Store,
iTunes. Yeah.
It's also on like Google Play. I saw it on Google Play.
Yeah, and probably on demand.
Originally, I checked for it on demand with our cable. It was not there.
Huh.
I was going to actually watch it on the Google Play service because we had Chromecast, but then we left that up at your place.
Yeah.
And every way we could watch, this movie, not through, hooking my computer through my computer's second monitor, was pretty much going.
Oh, sorry, we're trying to charge my cell phone while we're in the car, and it keeps unplugging. I think we're good now. But yeah, so this is an indie movie, and it stars a bunch of people that I actually recognized, and it's produced and stars Elijah Wood, and essentially it is the story of what if the zombie virus was passed through children at a summer school, like summer school courses.
At a summer school, elementary school in rural Illinois.
Is it really rural? It's more like suburbs.
Suburban Illinois, I guess. I don't think they actually shot in suburban Illinois.
No, they definitely didn't. But it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be near Chicago. Essentially, this chicken factory that makes super processed chicken nuggets had like a bad batch of, and you see it in the opening credits, this really gross chicken process, but there was like there were contaminated pieces, and they got sent among other places to this school in like suburban almost Chicago area, called, what was it, Fort Chicken?
Fort Chicken.
They never explain it either. Like clearly, like there just were a lot of chickens being farmed in that area, which is why the factory, I guess, was near there. I don't know. So you see this little girl take a bite of it, and that's like the first thing you see. So the story is that Elijah Wood character is doing his first day of substituting for this summer class where he's trying to write a book at the time, so he's very like, oh well, you guys, I wrote a book, so I'm a writer, so hopefully
New York City,
you'll be able to learn from me. And the kids are just not impressed, and there are a bunch of other teachers there, played by various character actors and comedians, including Rainn Wilson, Jack McBrayer, Allison Pill, Nassim Pedrad, and Leigh Whannell played the one like health guy.
Yes.
And to different degrees of funniness. Like I wasn't really super impressed by the humor of the teachers' jokes at the beginning of the movie. I thought they kind of didn't hit the mark. But I think they got funnier as they went on in the weirdness of the situation, because that one girl who ate the chicken nugget turns into a zombie, and she infects two bullies who then during recess end up infecting pretty much all of the students. And I will say, like, obviously the I think the producers even said that, you know, one of their inspirations was just the fact that, like, how quickly illnesses get passed in school, how quickly the flu gets passed, or lice, or whatever. So they did a really specific shot of the kids really quickly all contracting, all getting scratched or bitten, and getting infected.
During recess.
And then the black teacher dies. The black teacher who had no name and had no lines.
Until they said,
and I recognize
that. Doctor.
Yeah. And I recognize that actor. Like, that actor is like a character actor that I've seen in things before, and he just dies immediately. So
to be fair, it is supposed to be a satire of horror movies, and they were really playing up the, these are the cliches in horror movies, so we're going to really play up those cliches and really,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I guess, but it was still one of those things.
They were
like,
still
really
being very straight with that, with the satire of them, because they were really playing up on some horror tropes, and they were sort of just trying to play that line of some horror tropes, and they sort of try to buck those tropes later in the movie that we'll get into, but and trying to be surprising, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll get into that later, but still, like, they played them very straight so that you would believe some hooks later.
Yeah. So essentially, then they have to start. It's essentially the basic zombie movie situation where they're held up and they all have to try to figure out what to do, and they're all a big group of survivors.
They're basic Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, it's very Shaun of the Dead. It's clearly in the same vein of Shaun of the Dead. As far as the character actors, like Jack McBrayer is really funny in it. Alison Pill has a lot of good moments, and Ray Wilson was good, but, like, I don't know, sometimes some of his stuff didn't play quite right. Same thing with, like, I don't know how to say his name, Leigh Whannell, but he plays, like, the health guy. And one of the teachers is really, like, he doesn't know how to talk to people, and, like, his whole thing is that he's kind of a little wacky and kind of out there.
We find out later in the movie that, like, he just flat out says, like, he took a spike to the back of his brain as a kid, and his brain is a little bit messed up, which is why he says the wrong raspberry.
I don't think it was raspberry, but it was something like
raspberry.
that. And then one of the people corrects him with word, and he goes, yeah, word. So some of his stuff was okay. Some of it was really funny. And then some of it I was just like, why? Why did they make that joke? Like when they first, he's the one that recognizes in the school. He goes, "Oh look, carnage outside," and that actually made me laugh just because I was not expecting that response. And there were a few others too where he was actually
he had the best funnier lines.
And he had once he got his paces, it did feel like, I don't know, it felt like he was funnier in parts.
Yeah.
And yeah, I will say a lot of the way that the characters played off each other did end up being really funny, but there were also some parts that fell flat. Especially at the beginning. A lot of the stuff in the beginning where, like, Elijah Wood's being introduced to everyone, I was just like, ugh, this is just dragging.
Yeah, it falls flat in a lot of spaces.
There's also, like, some of the kids, even though most of them, like, quickly turn into zombies, like, you get introduced to some of the kids, including, like, this little piece of shit kid who is like, yes, first of all, he's every kid that you dislike, every, like, nasty, like, bully kid, like wormy kid that you knew in grade school, that, like, who knew that they could get away with, like, just treating you like garbage. And his name's Patriot. And the first thing I said the first thing I thought when I heard that was, oh man, I bet he was, like, he's the right age to be born on 9/11. And when Elijah Wood goes, wait, your name's Patriot? He goes, I was born on September 11th, and I was, because God sent me. And when I turn 18, I'm gonna join the Marines and kill some. And then he said a not nice term for Muslim people. So yeah, and then I was just like, and I said to Mike, like, if that kid becomes one of the survivors and lasts the whole movie, I'm turning, like, I don't want to see this movie. And luckily he's, like, one of the first kids to bite it. Now, granted, he's still in the movie, but he stops talking because he's a zombie. He's surprisingly a very effective zombie.
Surprisingly effective.
I'm really glad that he never joined the Marines because, oh my God, he would become like a psychopath. But, so yeah, a lot of it just ends up them being like trying to figure out what to do. Surprisingly, not that many kid deaths, but I guess you could only show so much, even though there was at least one. I had to look away from a lot of this, but there was at least one that was just brutal. But there was a lot of adult deaths. There are a lot of kids just flat out murdering adults in this movie.
There's a lot of gore in this
There's
movie.
a lot of gore. Because we just saw Crimson Peak, and someone had asked me after I said online that I watched Crimson Peak, they asked like, oh, well, does it have a lot of gore? Because I'm like, it's bloody, but there's not a whole lot of gore. But then we were watching this, I'm like, oh, that's where the gore went. It's all in this movie.
The thing is, like, with this movie, it's a lot of over-the-top gore. But
some of it is just, it's still gross. Like, it might not be realistic, but it's still gross.
Yeah. At points it is kind of realistic, but at other times it's really not.
All right, do you want to try to go right into spoilers, or do you want to wait?
No, we can keep talking. We have more to talk about. I would also point out that a lot of times it is sort of really unrealistic gore. And there's some really over-the-top ones.
Yeah, but I also looked away a lot. But there are just parts where, like one of the girls' pigtails just rips off.
Oh yeah, that was
like,
that was
ooh.
a hard one to watch.
And then and one of the kids' face, like his face was chewed off. Like a lot of that stuff, I just can't watch it. So I looked away. So just a heads up if you're gonna watch this movie, even though some of it, I don't know if it'd be realistic, but it's still gross enough that it makes you queasy, you know?
See, I have a hard time with realistic blood, but this movie did not bother me at all.
I just didn't want to hear the noises and the
See,
that makes my stomach all gross.
I have a hard time watching the opening scene in The Martian, but this movie really never gave me any problems.
Or the one where he has to do his own wound.
When he dresses his own.
Well, that freaks me out too.
I know, but I'm just saying there's a difference in the.
Yeah, I can understand that. So we won't get into some of the stuff that happens in the second half. It does get funnier as it goes on, and I think a lot of the character interactions make it funnier once they have to be in that crazy sort of setting. I would say, obviously, you can't see it in theaters. I would say that if you're a horror fan, this might be a good one for Halloween. And
if you're a fan of Shaun of the Dead, I might give it a shot.
Or if you're a fan of zombie movies and you want to see it kind of spoofed a little bit, I think that's a fair. If you're specifically a fan of zombie movies.
Yeah.
I think that there's enough there that or if you're a fan of any of the actors, I think that there's enough that everybody's kind of given good stuff to do in it.
Yeah, a lot of television character actors in this movie.
Yeah, there really are. So yeah, and like I said, it's a pretty cheap rental, and you can kind of pretty easily watch it. Yeah,
wherever, as long as you're not moving in between two states at the same time, and you put all your digital streaming devices up on one TV and one in the other state.
So that's what happened. So Mike. He brought up because we drove up last week to help me move, and he brought up the Xbox and and also the Wii U, which are the two ways that we usually watch streaming movies, specifically Amazon Prime. Because I think Netflix. You can. Well, yeah, but you can watch Netflix on your computer.
I know.
But anyway, So we couldn't actually get the Xbox to work. So Mike was like, "Oh, we'll have you just do the Wii U then. I'll let you keep that up here." And I was like, "Well, do you want to take down the Xbox?" And Mike was like, "No, I don't want to bring it."
That wasn't really the whole. You can watch Netflix from the Chromecast and all that sort of stuff, and you can do everything from the Chromecast pretty much except for Amazon Prime. But I was going to just leave the Wii U up there because I just figured I wasn't going to play it. And I figured you'd probably play it more than me.
Yeah, I got to get around to it. But anyway, so when we...
Because you just got your new Splatoon or the Amiibo, and so I figured you'd play that more than I would.
I need to get around to it. But anyway, so when we did this tonight, we couldn't get the HG to work because it doesn't work for the computer when we connect it to the TV.
Yeah, we had to put the
Mike was annoyed.
Well, it's because it takes away my monitor, so it just blah. Well, it is the TV. My second monitor is the television, so that's why it takes away my monitor.
All right. So yeah, before spoilers, I will just say, yeah, I think it will definitely be for people who like horror movies, because if you don't like it, I don't know if the humor is enough for you to check it out. Whereas with maybe with Shaun of the Dead, I think you can maybe it's
if you're a fan of comedies, that Shaun of the Dead is for you, because Shaun of the Dead is while it is a horror movie, it's light horror. It's very light.
But it's all I wouldn't say that.
Well, it's not very. Okay,
but this one definitely leans towards the gore and stuff in a way that I don't actually think Shaun of the Dead does as much, just because I think there were more cutaways in Shaun of the Dead. But yeah, I think, like I said, I actually did enjoy it, but I would never watch it again. That's enough for me. Yeah, and that's about all I got to say. So, if you want, we will go into spoilers. Spoilers. And now for spoilers. I don't know what can we spoil about this movie? I guess the end. All right,
the ending is probably one of its weakest points.
It is so weak. I don't even want to go through all the ways that they escape. They escape from the school. Rainn Wilson's character has a feat of heroism, and they make it to the next town over, which was kind of funny because they kind of do that whole this town is slightly better, so we don't look. But they go oh, we're gonna meet in Danville. One of them says at least it's not Fort Chicken, because they just had a zombie apocalypse, so you get that. But then the sign to Danville actually says Danville population blah blah blah. At least we're not Fort Chicken. That was one of the funnier jokes of the movie. And then you find out, oh crap, it didn't just hit it. It spread. Whatever happened, it spread. I think it
More than one town got affected.
Yeah, well, I mean, at first they think that maybe it had just spread from their own town, but then, that the kids got out, but then they look and they find out that at least in this town, there was a, sorry, I'm trying to drink we got shakes. I'm gonna drink my shake. At least in this town, there was a birthday party that happened to have them at a
infected chicken.
Yeah, but what were they at? What a Discovery Zone-esque play place, which they end up getting trapped in again.
I think it was called something like Jump and Play. I remember Jump in the name.
Yeah, but it was essentially if you've ever been to Discovery Zone or something of the like.
Chuck E. Cheese, but Chuck E. Cheese was always more a.
That was arcade and stuff.
Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese was always more of an arcade than a jump castle.
Climbing thing, So they're almost lost, and it turns out Rainn Wilson comes back, and he has a daring rescue of them.
He has the Japanese guy with him.
There was a Japanese janitor we didn't mention, which was kind of racist. There were some jokes around his character that were kind of not great. It was pretty bad, actually.
He is probably the worst character in the movie that, you don't want that kind of character in your movie. It's pretty. There are a lot of stereotypical jokes about him being a samurai-esque character. He has seaweed in his refrigerator in his little office where he lives. It's really not the best part of the movie. It's one of the worst. That character was not well planned out. Just do anything else besides that.
Yeah, exactly. So, so Rainn Wilson saves them. They get into, there's this, I don't know what he was, who he was. Was he just a guy in a van outside, or was he working there?
No, he's the crossing guard.
Oh, okay.
That's why he's outside in his van.
Okay, because, seriously, I thought he just didn't have a job after a while.
They established that at the beginning of the movie, he was the crossing guard. He had the little banner, and he had the stop sign.
Okay, I remember. But yeah, he was on drugs the whole time, and Jorge Garcia plays him. And but he comes in his van and he saves them, and they all drive off. and they're like, where are we gonna go? Where kids won't go. And then the movie ends. And, like, look, I wonder if they were trying to do it like, it's like playing it up for a sequel. I know that it's Elijah Wood's production company, so I'm assuming that he went into this hoping that he'd be able to make more stories with these characters. That's still a really terrible ending to the movie. I mean, like,
I also know he's a really big horror fan.
Oh yeah, like, he basically, I believe the production company that's doing this are doing like mostly horror movie, you know, like going for those kind of movies. But my point is that it's still a really terrible way to end the movie. Like, the Birds can get away with this kind of ending. This just feels like you didn't want to do a full resolution.
It feels like you had two concepts running in your head of them being trapped in this school and making it out, but then you also wanted this epic showdown at a Discovery Zone-esque place, and the in-between, which was very short, mind you, just didn't work. It didn't sandwich the two together very well at all. It was just sort of tacked on.
And the one kid Patriot, who again is like, he felt like the final boss, but then they had like a whole other scene after it, after he dies.
You really felt that kid his death should have been the capper to the movie.
And it wasn't.
And that was one of the things that really fell out of place. It feels like they ended the movie with his death, and then all of a sudden and then you could have had them driving into the next town, and then you could have closed the movie out right there, because it was pretty much over. But then it feels like you're starting up the sequel right there.
Yeah.
It sort of feels like the sequel began right there.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. There were just problems with it. Yeah, I don't know much more to say about it. This might be a short spoilers. I will say, like, just going back to what I liked about it overall, I thought that the kids' acting when they were zombies was really good. Like, they got a lot of really great, like, character. Like, the zombies themselves had character, and I thought it was just interesting how the kid actors were able to pull that off. I thought also the world building, as far as like how the virus worked, was interesting, because it turns out that if you are a puberty or above, then it doesn't actually turn you into a zombie. It only makes you like pretty sick. It like basically gives you the flu, which makes it a little more interesting, because then like you literally will only be fighting zombie children this whole time, which is different from a lot of other zombie movies. And it sticks with the whole theme of like the kids spreading stuff to other kids. That if adults could get infected, it wouldn't be nearly as...
And that's sort of where you get your title too, Cooties.
Yeah, exactly. I will say one of the least interesting parts in the movie... Excuse me, I just burped. One of the least interesting parts in the movie... there was this shot, or like this tiny little montage of the kids playing outside while they're zombified, and they're like, they're playing with body parts from, and it doesn't make any damn sense. Like, they have the eyeballs, and they're playing with them like marbles, and they're using a head like a tether ball, and one of the kids is jumping rope with like intestines, and I get that it's a satire, but that just like that wasn't in line with like the kind of satire the movie was going for, and it just seemed way too over the top silly. And I was just like, that wasn't really needed. You didn't need, because it was basically like a passing of time little montage, and you really did not need that in the movie. Yeah, it was, like I said, we did like it. I just don't think I'd ever want to watch it again. It's not like my favorite movie of the year by far, and the ending was a real, like, I don't know, they could have come up with something better.
Let's compare it to other direct-to-rental movies that we've done. Like, The one, what was it? The one, what was that movie where they go?
The One You Love.
The One You Love, yeah.
Yeah, that one was probably the best of the direct to. I mean, but it's a very different kind of movie. But it is an indie film. That one I liked a lot, even if my brain is still trying to like figure out exactly how I interpret the ending of the movie, you know. But that one I really liked a lot. And then what was the other one that we saw that was
there's Safety Not Guaranteed, but we did actually technically see that in theaters.
No, we definitely saw that in theaters. No, I'm thinking of the one with Samuel L. Jackson as the president.
Big Game. Wasn't
Big Game. The Game is the president. Someone's gonna hunt him.
This was better than Big Game.
This was better than Big Game, but again, it's a very different movie. And I think that the rest of the direct-to-video, it's not really direct-to-video, we just watched them.
Direct-to-on-demand? Is that what you would call these movies? Direct-to-on-demand?
Yeah, I guess. But a lot of the other ones we've done where we just drive out to get, like, shakes or something have been specifically for, like, things, like, older movies that we've seen. Like the Alien movies, when we watch the Alien movies. So, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else to say about it.
I don't have
anything. Yeah,
like, it's a decent movie. It's a decent horror parody, but it's like it's not Shaun of the Dead, but it's not bad, and it's passable. So
from what I can see, that stupid Scout's Guide to the Apocalypse or whatever that's coming out, that seems like it's in the same vein and won't be nearly as good. I could be wrong. Every trailer I've seen for that movie, it looks terrible and annoying and awful. And this one wasn't nearly so bad. There's still parts of it that were kind of like that didn't quite hit the mark, but I think it's a solid rental, especially if you're a fan of like these two genres being mashed together.
Yes.
Okay. Well, with that, I think it's time for us to go. So, Kate,
finish these shakes.
And finish the shakes. So, Katie and Mike, justplainsomething.com, and we'll see you later. And to different degrees of funniness, like I wasn't really super impressed by the humor of the teachers' jokes at the beginning of the movie. I thought they kind of didn't hit the mark, but I think they got funnier as they went on in the weirdness of the situation, because that one girl who ate the chicken nugget turns into a zombie, and she infects two bullies who then during recess end up infecting pretty much all of the students. And I will say, like, obviously I think the producers even said that, you know, one of their inspirations was just the fact that, like, how quickly illnesses get passed in school, how quickly the flu gets passed, or lice or whatever. So they did a really specific shot of the kids really quickly all contracting, all getting scratched or bitten, and getting infected.
During recess.
And we've seen a totally different kind of spooky movie. It's Cooties, which came out this year, and is out on, like, what, Amazon?
Yeah, it's an Amazon Instant Video. It's also on, like,
I'm sure it's
Apple
on, like,
Store,
iTunes,
It's also on, like, Google Play. I saw it on Google Play.
Yeah, and probably on demand.
Originally, I checked for it on demand with our cable. It was not there.
Huh.
I was going to actually watch it on the Google Play service because we had Chromecast, but then we left that up at your place.
Yeah.
And every way we could watch, this movie, not through, hooking my computer through my computer's second monitor, was pretty much
This
not
keeps
going.
Oh, sorry, we're trying to charge my cell phone while we're in the car, and it keeps unplugging. I think we're good now. But yeah, so this is an indie movie, and it stars a bunch of people that I actually recognize. Hey everybody, it's Katie and Mike. Say hi, Mike.
I say hi, but I'm looking away.
Because you were trying to get us out of the parking spot?
Yes, I want to make sure that car didn't back up.
Oh, well, good for you. You
No,
got
I was
us.
keeping my eye on it.
Yeah. So happy Halloween time again. We are back for another spooky movie. It's like it's 1 o'clock in the morning. So you'll forgive me.
Well, you were just on Central Time, so it's really more like midnight for you.
It's still late.
It is late.
Also, I was only there for like a week, so I don't think I told my manager this week. I'm like, I think I'm still on Eastern time in my brain, which is why like I felt so discombobulated. But anyway, happy Halloween, everyone! Again, last time we watched Crimson Peak, and this time called, what was it? Fort Chicken.
Fort Chicken.
They never explain it either. Like clearly, like there just were a lot of chickens being farmed in that area, which is why the factory, I guess, was near there. I don't know. So you see this little girl take a bite of it, and that's like the first thing you see. So the story is that Elijah Wood character is doing his first day of substituting for the summer class where he's trying to write a book at the time. So he's very like, oh well, you guys, I wrote a book. So I'm a writer. So hopefully you'll be able to learn from me. And the kids are just not impressed. And there are a bunch of other teachers there, played by various character actors and comedians, including Rainn Wilson, Jack McBrayer, Allison Pill, Nassim Pedrad, and Leigh Whannell played the one like health guy. And it's produced and stars Elijah Wood, and essentially it is the story of what if the zombie virus was passed through children at a summer school, like summer school courses.
At a summer school, elementary school in rural Illinois.
Is it really rural? It's more like suburbs.
Suburban Illinois, I guess. I don't think they actually shot in suburban Illinois.
No, they definitely didn't. But it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be near Chicago. Essentially, this chicken factory that makes super processed chicken nuggets had like a bad batch of, and you see it in the opening credits, this really gross chicken process, but there was like there were contaminated pieces, and they got sent among other places to this school in like suburban almost Chicago area.